34 weeks to go, and here we are, another week, another walk. I can't believe it's 1st of August, it's crazy. It's flying by, flying by. This time last year, I spoke last week about pictures and looking back on them, how important they are. This time last year, I started my 100-mile walk for the month for Macmillan. I can't believe that's been a year ago, and this was really when the big push started happening, the changes started happening for me. And around about this time last year, this month, I actually booked to go to Everest. So yeah, 34 weeks to go. Beginning of August, this time flies by, doesn't it? A bit cooler today. We get out and about, get up the mountains and see what we get into. I just mentioned it was this time last year I started the walking challenge for Macmillan. Something really pushed me on to kind of the next level of what I was wanting to do. Because I still wasn't 100% sure where I was going with mindset shift, just wanted to change it, and that changed, and then started the walking challenge, and it gave me a new focus. And it's kind of been out and about up here and knowing how hard it was, and we're climbing now. And again, I wouldn't have been doing this last year. I struggled to talk walking uphill last year, and it's hard work, and it was hard work, and it really pushed me on, not wanting to fail. I don't like to fail at anything I do, and the walking challenge, it got me out doing walks. It got me out making sure I was keeping on track, trying to get in front, not wanting to leave too much to the end. And I started and coming out walking, and then there was a couple of reasons. I was tired on the walks, tired when I got back, struggling, but then I started enjoying them and wanting more. So the fitness started kicking in as well. So we'll get into it more in a bit with things that me having something to focus on. It helps me having something to focus on, and we'll get up and we'll get into the importance of well, it's having something, anything to focus on can be a game changer. At the moment, we'll keep climbing. When I'm talking about things to focus on, I kind of mean outside everyday normal life. We've all got our normal lives, our working, our families and things like that, and my personal opinion is I think you need an outside focus to keep your mind at bay. And we all have things we do just to take a step back from everything, and mine has become walking. Might want to talk about having things to focus on. It's things to do when makes you realise that there is more to everyday life and things, and just reassessing and refocusing. And these walks, this is what it does to me. So when I talk about having something to focus on, I'm not talking about everyday life. Everyday life is part of what we do, and it's really important to have everyday life and family, and that should be a focus. Working or not working, that's a focus as well. But to have a distraction away from things, I think is important, and I think we all have it. And my focus for years and years and years was always around football, and I spent years being involved in football, and it wasn't until I stopped being involved in it that you can actually see that when you take a step back from that, it's actually heavily reliant on other people. Football is. It's nice to have the team camaraderie and the team bonding and that kind of thing, but when you take a step back and you get into walking and realise that you can focus on something that improves things for you, that is just reliant on you, it makes a big difference. And walking and mindset shifts and losing weight was heavily reliant on me. It was heavily reliant on me doing it. And when I mentioned about having things to focus on, I focused on improving my shitty old mindset that it used to be, and it was. Now, I don't know what that was down to. I'm not going to blame anything, but I took a step back from the football and started changing things, and I become more focused on wanting to improve things for me. And then the walking started, and as I said, I was tired on the walks. I was out of breath on the walks, and because of the size I was, so I give myself something to focus on. I booked to do 100 miles in 1 month for Macmillan, which to some people That's not a lot, but to me at the time, the size I was, it was a really, really tough challenge. And I started it, and that summarises where I used the hitting the wall a quarter of the way in, where I was in no dead man zone and really, really struggling. I think I'd only got 20 miles into the challenge in the month, and I think it was 6 or 7 days in, and I was thinking, why have I started this? I'm not going to do this. This is a big commitment. I still got 80 miles to go and I'm running out of time. And I started stressing about it a little bit, to be honest. But that was the things where the year before I would have quit. I would have stopped. I would have knocked it on the head. But because I had to do it, because 1, people had sponsored me, 2, I didn't want to let them down, but 3, I didn't want to go back to quitting again. I didn't want to stop things. I didn't want to not finish. I didn't want to turn around to myself and say, I'm not going to do it again. And that was the drive and determination to get me through to the end, to finish it. And as it goes, I happened to finish it, I don't know, 3 or 4, 5 days before. And I remember finishing it with one of the boys, and I had a hell of a sense of achievement for doing it, finishing it early. So I ended up doing extra. So at the start, when I was panicking about why am I doing this, why am I doing that, I'm not going to do this, all of a sudden, I get to the end and I'm finished. Well, hell of a sense of achievement, and it was fantastic, all because I give myself something to focus on. But during those challenges, during that challenge in August, I booked to go to Everest. So now I've got a bigger challenge coming up, which is keeping me going, which is keeping me doing the mountain walks, which is keeping the weight off, which is keeping me training, which is keeping me focused on making sure I give myself the best chance to do it. Now, granted, we're still 34 weeks away, but am I doing it too early? I don't know. I enjoy being out and about. I enjoy the fitness element of things, and I wouldn't have been able to do what I did this time last year, but I'm doing it now because I've got something to focus on. When Everest comes, when Everest goes, will I find something else? Absolutely. I'll find something else to give myself a focus on, to make myself, challenge myself, to push myself out of my comfort zone, to do different things again. And it's all about having that one thing to focus on. The book was a similar thing. The start of the year, when I did the list at the start of the year of what I wanted to do. So I didn't overwhelm myself, give myself things to do, and I've achieved them. Because we can give ourselves too much to do. When we try focusing on too much at once, my mind anyway becomes overwhelmed, and it's too much for me to process, it's too much for me to do. So I need to take a step back from that, and I can't give myself too much to do. 1 little thing, 2 little things, 3 little things at once, maybe, that you can balance. But don't give yourself too much to do if you get overwhelmed, you get overcrowded, and you don't know which way you're going to go with them. Because then you start getting confused. Focus on I've learned to be able to do it. And it's all from years and years of failing, to be truthfully honest. Years of failing. So I've learned to be able to juggle a couple of things. Do I get overwhelmed? Oh, absolutely. I still get overwhelmed massively with things. And it's part of life. It's part of everyday life. We're going to get overwhelmed. We're going to get thoughts in our head that just knock out on the head. The fact when we become overwhelmed, because we give ourselves much to do, it makes it easier for us to quit. So instead, if you focus on one thing and say get that 60, 70, 80% of the way there, then start focusing on something else, because you've learned to do the first thing. It becomes easier. And as I said, I've learned this from years and years of experience. Of focusing on one thing has been able to lead me to focus on 2 and 3 things. I wouldn't give myself any more than that, because it's too much, you get overwhelmed. But also, by doing that, giving yourself too much to do, you're not spending time with the people you're doing it for. So by trying to give yourself too much to do, you're actually alienating yourself from people you're doing it for. There's a fine line, there's a balancing act. But having something to focus on is, for me, it works. It's critically important for me. I need to have something to focus on. I can't just go to work every day, come home, and that's it. Because that's when I start getting in my rut. That's when I start getting my down days. That's when I start just going into a shell, not wanting to do anything, and being negative about things. By having something to focus on, granted, at times I may spend too much time in the week thinking about what I'm going to do when I go on filming, and if I'm going to do anything. But one thing to focus on, and it reverts back, and it's mad. I don't mean to do this every week, but it's mad. Everything reverts back to one small step. One small step can improve anything. Anything I've talked about in life lessons or things that help me, it all reverts back to making one small step, one small decision, one small action to move forward, just to be able to improve something for yourself. And it may work. And as I said, a lot of these things are linked. The list I did at the start of the year made it easy for me to focus on. Would you start a list halfway through the year and say, I'm going to get it done by the end of the year? No, I think it's too much pressure. If it works for you, fantastic. Do it, have a go, brilliant. But for me, I'd be, like I said, last couple of weeks, I'd be sitting down through Christmas, ready for January, to do myself a list of something else to have a look at for after Everest is done. And the YouTube will continue after Everest with the man who changed his mindset to losing 5 stone to going away Everest, and this is how I did it, and things like that. And there'll be things I can do, and I'm not stressing and panicking about what comes after Everest, because things will pan out, and I'm a big believer in things happen for a reason. And we'll see what avenues pan out after Everest and things. And we're still 34 weeks away, so we've got time to look at options available. And it's pointless me stressing, because I don't know what avenues will be at. The main aim of this video is all the trees have been chopped down. Used to be loads there. The main point of this video is giving yourself something to focus on. And like I said, I do it. I've got it now. I've got things to focus on. YouTube being one of them. A couple of other things on the list that will be finished before Christmas, that will be achieved before Christmas. They can't not be now. So my list is done, and I give myself the 5 things to do at the start of the year, and it's working. So don't even do yourself a lift. Start with one thing. Give yourself one thing different to focus on that you normally wouldn't. Something that you've been wanting to have a go at, something you've been trying to do. I had a comment the other day on one of my short videos about a gentleman who's trying to do something different and trying to push things on, and I'm no expert on YouTube. I've just started and made a go and made a start at the beginning to get to do these videos now. And as I said last week, I didn't know what I was expecting with it, but we're still here. We're still going from making a start and taking one small step, and it was having something to focus on. So the weight loss was something to focus on. That was what I was going to say. The Macmillan Challenge last August, the walking challenge, I finished that, but halfway through the month, that was when I had a conversation with somebody in work about health and fitness and who she'd used before with a plan. So I reached out to him, and from September last year was when I started the weight loss journey. And so the walking challenge gave me something to focus on to change the fitness, and it also pushed me on to do the weight loss journey. So having something to focus on with a walking challenge actually pushed everything else on. So it's been fantastic. And I spoke last week about the pictures popping up, and they pop up, and I can see the difference. And I know we're going to start going through now October, November, December, when I was losing the weight, and the pictures are going to be there, but these are going to drive me on even more not to go back to putting the weight on, because I can see I'll start seeing the transformation happening daily now, my time up. So yeah, one thing to focus on. I'm going to talk about having something to focus on. It's more to focus. Again, I'm talking about me here. I'm not saying what I think people should do. I'm explaining, I'm talking about me, of what works for me, because this is what these videos are about. None of this is advice. It's my thoughts. I need something to focus my mind on. Like I just said, I can't just go to work, come home, and that's it. So I'm not saying this for bragging. I try and go to the gym 3 times a week in the mornings, during the weekdays before work, and then I have my walk on a Saturday, at least 14-15k more Saturdays. And that's something to focus on. That's something for me to get out and do, where the Saturdays used to be about football, but I get out and focus on getting out and walking 6 o'clock, so I'm back by 10ish, to have the full weekend to spend with family. So me having that to focus on, not just the Everest thing, not just the challenges, I stick to doing these. This is what works for me. These are the focuses. Instead of looking you can look at a big focus and something that you want to set yourself to do. But I just need to clarify the message that what works for me as well is having little focuses, little daily ones, little weekly ones, where I want to be this day, where I want to be that day. I'm going to gym Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I'm going to gym this week, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. I'm going Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I don't know. Little things. And then my walks on a Saturday. And then I tend to have a shorter one with my boy on a Sunday. Just a little local one. We tend to go out on a Sunday for a walk where the weather's dry. So I have little things to focus on weekly, not just the long-term plans. But by having the long-term plans, it keeps me going on the weekly ones, if that makes sense. It's what drives me. So because I've got the Everest down the line, I get up and make sure I'll have a walk on a weekend. And I'm not just walking on a Saturday to do footage for YouTube, even though I'm doing videos for YouTube as I'm walking, but I enjoy it and I enjoy doing the YouTube videos, but it's having something to focus on. Walking is the main part of it, is having that to focus on, but having the YouTube to do as well does make the walks go faster because I'm doing the videos as well. So it kind of goes hand in hand and works. And the other thing, when I've been on my walks on a Saturday, I get the sense of reward and accomplishment in myself after every single walk. After every single walk, when I get home, I sit down with a coffee and feel a sense of achievement because I've been on a mountain walk. I've been out and about again and done 14, 15, 16k. And again, some people look and say, well, that's not very far. Well, it's what works for me. And you're going to get, like I said, you're going to get negativity all the time. And that's fine. That's fine. But I'd rather be positive with someone comments, say, God, you know, doing 14, 15k every week, that's fantastic. It's brilliant. Well done you. But I don't want people to say well done. I'm just saying that some people will look at it and think, well, that's nothing, 14, 15k, I do that every day. Well done, fantastic, brilliant achievement for you, and that's fantastic. I'm just saying that these are the things that work for me. It works for me by going out, doing these, and having a walk, and I get the sense of accomplishments when I'm back, which is brilliant. And when I was doing the walks, when I started doing the walks last year, I didn't have time for the sense of accomplishment because I was too tired. I was too worn out. And you're gonna go through those stages, but by keep doing it, you get to a stage where the first time you feel a sense of accomplishment after the tiredness wears off outweighs everything you've done that day. It's fantastic achievement, the tiredness, the aching and everything. The sense of accomplishment after doing a long walk outweighs the tired, the achiness that lasts for days, but then it gets easier. So again, it all reverts back to one small step. But yeah, we're going to get back. It's not boiling today. We might have a coffee. We'll see what happens. But yeah, we'll get back and let's see how far we've actually gone today. What are we on now? I don't know. 11k. So yeah, we've got a bit to go. So we'll get back and see what the rest of the day brings. Here we are back. 18k, 3 hours. And it's not for the times distance. Just because I've been up at the mountain. So yeah, it was a good one again today, and just important to have something to focus on. And just to clarify on that, it's me. I need something to focus on outside kind of everyday life, because these things help keep me grounded. It's important we don't get sidetracked from important things we have in life, what we've got in life, and we don't take things like that for granted. So the focusing on your everyday life is so critically important. But my mind needs to have something to focus on to distract me from, I don't know, pressure, strains of everyday life, of what everyday life chucks at us and things like that, and having something to focus on further down the line. And as I spoke about earlier on, about I got Everest to focus on, I've got that to focus on, but I do that focus. I focus on Everest, but I focus on everyday little things. I give myself little targets to do, as I mentioned, the gym and the walking every week. So I have little things to focus on as well that are all a build up to the bigger things, if that makes sense. So it's important to have, for me anyway, and as I say all the time, these are what works for me, what helps me, and life lessons I spoke about. This isn't advice. I'm not qualified for advice. It's just things that help me, and I'm sharing that on here. And yeah, having something to focus on is some of it helps me. But that's been today's episode. Again, it's going so fast. It's going, this time is flying by, beginning of August like, and it'll be Christmas again before we know it, won't we? So time ticks by, but we'll be back next week. Another walk, see what we get into there. But yeah, like I've said a couple of times, if anybody wants to go out and have a walk, a chat, or some conversation about things, and we can document it, we can put it down, we don't have to. If anybody just wants to come for a walk, they're more than welcome, absolutely more than welcome. And or if anybody knows any routes around South Wales, drop a comment, let me know. But otherwise, I will see you next week. Thank you guys.